So Nestor 275. Is there any truth in seashells being found on some of the highest points on Earth? Yeah, that's some truth to that. That there have been seashells found on some of the highest points on Earth. Now there are two actual theories that explain that, and one myth. All right. So first, let's get rid of the myth. The myth is Noah's flood, or the flood in the Atrahasis, Gilgamesh's flood, and many other flood myths that all happened at different time frames according to the culture and had varying different degrees to them, and somebody survived. Those are all myths, and some of those myths may have came about because of localized floods that appeared to cover the whole world for those people because they did not know the extent of the world. Others of those myths may have came about simply because ancient people found seashells on top of mountains. Now there are two theories as to why you find seashells on top of mountains. And both of them are pretty viable. One of the more viable ones that in more recent ancient history would be the fact of seaside volcanic eruptions or ocean volcanic eruption exploding upward, throwing seashells hundreds, if not thousands of miles away, planting seashells on top of mountains, and then as the mountains grow and over these prehistoric times, seashells become fossilized on top of these mountains. That's one viable explanation, and there are examples of that. The other viable explanation is that at one point the overwhelming majority of the planet was covered by water. We're talking 3-4 billion years ago, before any life as we know it existed on the planet. Now, if that was the case, and what's the research behind that? The fact that there are portions of mountains that they find oxygen 18, which oxygen 18 is a more denser seawater level of oxygen that's found in the crust of the oceans. So because they found oxygen 18 on top of some of these mountains, they found oxygen 18 in some of the crust everywhere, especially in Australia. They theorized that 3-4 billion years ago, the majority of the planet was covered by water, and as continents began to form themselves through volcanic eruptions, again allowing seashells to be on top again during that time frame, and as tectonic plates begin to rise and form mountain chains out of the oceans, we get seashells on top of mountains. But a worldwide flood? Nah, not that one. There's too much geological evidence that shows that never happened at one time on the Earth. But the Earth probably was majority covered by water at one point. So there's some seashells up there. It's pretty cool.